And now, here to lead us in our discussion with our panelists is Bridge co-founder and tonight's moderator, Ms. Christy Bertolo. Let's all welcome everyone this evening.
Thank you, and thanks everyone for joining us tonight. I am in charge of a microphone, note cards, and a clicker, so we're going to keep everything moving, but hold me accountable if I'm on the wrong slide. So thanks everyone again for joining us tonight. Before we get to our panelists, I wanted to just start the discussion to share some different statistics around the Columbus region. The Columbus region is home to 16 Fortune 1000 headquarters and 52 college campuses. A lot of people don't always realize the breadth and depth of our region here. We also are continuing to grow every day with more and more announcements on job growth, some of which many of you have probably heard about. Intel is coming to town. Intel is estimated to create nearly 7,000 construction jobs and 3,000 new permanent positions here in the region. Also, just last week, Honda announced 2,200 new jobs for their electric vehicle battery plant. So a lot of moving pieces and parts that are going to continue to be here in the region. According to Voight Strategic Insights, it's estimated that the Columbus region will add an additional 145,000 to 202,000 new jobs over the next decade. So that's up until around 2032. We were actually just talking backstage, and I think collectively here on the stage there are over 5,000 to 7,000 open recs just with these employers right here. So when we think about the job growth in our region, it's really quite astounding, but a lot of great opportunity. And so while we're thinking about just growth in general, we are the #1 in the Midwest for population growth. Currently, our population here in the Columbus region is at 2.25 million, but we are expected to add over 1 million more people by the year 2050. So we are continuing to be one of the largest growing economic regions in the nation. But something for this whole audience tonight, the Columbus region is also a top metro for talent attraction. We are #1 in the Midwest for millennial migration, and we're #12 in the US. So more and more of our young people are continuing to come to Columbus and stay. So just if you think about that for a moment, just #1 in the Midwest for millennials coming here to our region. And then when we look at our college graduates, nearly 50% of our college graduates stay here in the Columbus area. So for all of you parents in the audience tonight, regardless of the pathway of your student, there is a good chance they're going to stay here in the Columbus region. It is competitive. This is a great place to be. And so now we want to talk a little bit more with our panelists. So I'm going to have each one introduce themselves and then also share a fun, quick fact about their organization. Tom, I'm going to put you on the spot.
I was mentally prepared to go last.
Oh, perfect. Well, we're starting with you.
No, I appreciate it. My name is Tom Poole. I'm the Director of Talent Acquisition for OSU Wexner Medical Center. So I have a team of about 45 people who will make about 6,500 offers this year to staff the medical centers that you see. So fun fact, we're not just one hospital, we're 7. There are 100 other places that you can actually get care from the medical center throughout Central Ohio. One of the interesting facts that I think probably no one knows is that the new tower we're building is actually the largest single facilities construction project in the 150-year history of Ohio State. It's a very big building, and I am developing an unnatural fear of cranes because we keep building more buildings and creating more jobs throughout Central Ohio. But the really fun fact that I learned today, our nutrition function, which no one probably even realizes we have at Ohio State, serves 10,000 meals a day. 10,000. And they make 8,300 gallons of chicken noodle soup a year. Just for random facts. That's what you wanted, right? Some fun fact?
That's perfect.
All right, here we go.
Hi, my name is Eric Bull. I'm President and Chief Operations Officer for Elford Incorporated. Elford is a 112-year-old construction management company based here in Columbus, Ohio. I'm a parent of 3 graduates of Olentangy schools, so thank you for everything you're doing there. And so as a construction management company, we build a lot of traditional commercial buildings. We build hospitals, we build manufacturing facilities, we build office buildings, including corporate headquarters, multifamily housing, distribution, warehouse, and everything that looks like commercial buildings, including schools and higher education facilities. We have about 350 people in Central Ohio, which is a combination of what we call professional staff as well as skilled trades, which I'm excited to talk about both of those. An interesting fact, in about roughly around 1950, due to some unforeseen circumstances, Elford became the first major construction company in Central Ohio to be led by a female president, and that became a mainstay. There is a neat organization called Women in Construction, and with our history, it's an organization that we invest heavily in and do some great talent development through that organization.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. I'm Lisa Devine. I'm a talent manager of talent acquisition at Worthington Industries. Kind of a fun fact about Worthington. So Worthington Industries was founded in 1955 by John H. McConnell. Mr. McConnell actually borrowed $600 against his 1952 Oldsmobile to finance his first steel processing facility. It's still in operation today in Worthington. A replica of that automobile sits inside of our corporate office in the lobby. It's a great reminder for all of us of our humble beginnings. So I think about it, we went from $600 to being a multi-billion-dollar company and the largest buyer of steel in the U.S. just behind the automobile industry. So we employ over 10,000 people company-wide. So.
Well, good evening. My name's Evan Benjamin. I am the regional manager of our talent acquisition area, and I'm based here in Ohio with Honda. Something interesting about Honda is many of you in the crowd may be familiar with it, but think of it as an automobile company. And actually, in the U.S., we produce everything from automobiles, engines, power equipment, all-terrain vehicles, aircraft, and aircraft engines. So we really think of ourselves more as a mobility company than we do necessarily an auto company. And then on top of that, though, we have produced over 29 million vehicles in the U.S. Since our inception. So we've been here a long time and very excited to be here. So thank you.
Good evening. Thanks for being here. I'm Jeff Little from J.P. Morgan Chase. Are there any other J.P. Morgan Chase employees here? Oh, yeah. So we have 7,000 of our local employees who live in Delaware County, and I know a lot of them have kids in this district. So thank you to the Olentangy Local School District for having this event and for BridgEd for pulling it all together. Fun facts about J.P. Morgan Chase. So our Polaris Corporate Center, you go south on Old State until it almost comes to an end. You'll run into our property there. Is a 2 million square foot facility, which is equal to the square footage of the Empire State Building. It is a working home to over 10,000 of our employees. And during COVID, we had a solar installation on our surface parking lots that surround the building and serve the building. That is the second largest corporate solar installation in the United States. It is currently supplying 72% of the power needs of that 2 million square foot facility. So it's a great point of pride for us. We sort of made lemonade out of lemons during COVID when we were all working from home and the parking lots were empty, and turned it into this huge asset for the company and the community and for the climate. And covers the roof as well as parking lots. We're also installing solar at our Easton facility, which is about 3,000 employees. Our Westerville facilities, which is about 3,000 more. So we have about 18,000 employees in the market. One more quick fun fact. We have filled 5,200 jobs in Columbus through August 30th during in just 2022. 5,200 jobs have been filled between January 1 and August 31, 2022 in Columbus. So it is a huge hiring engine. We have 1,800 open jobs in Columbus right now. So send your kids our way.
Well, and Jeff, take back that microphone because I'm going to start with this next question. If I could have every panelist here tonight. So we've talked a lot about job growth. We've talked a lot about even more jobs coming. We have major construction coming from OSU Wexner Medical Center. So if you could describe how the current workforce situation in Ohio is impacting your workforce needs.
So we are very fortunate and privileged to have been around 150 years in Columbus and have great brand recognition, and the pipeline of talent interested in working for us is quite strong, actually. Our biggest challenge is to provide opportunities once employees are with us to continue to grow in their careers and have mobility opportunities to stay and not be lured away by one of the great employers to my right. That's really our focus, is to keep our employees engaged and strong and developed and with the skills to be relevant in the future as our industry continues to change and evolve. I believe that all the great things that Christy talked about that are happening in our state are going to lift all boats, and they're going to attract talent from all over the country that may not be currently considering Ohio for their next career move. And I think that's going to help us all as employers.
I think for us, there are, as Christy talked about, a lot of companies located in the Central Ohio and Ohio region. I think there is a lot of competition for talent in this space right now, and there's not enough of it. There's definitely a shortage in our immediate area, not only here in Columbus, but I would say across the region and across the country. We certainly see it in a lot of the skilled areas. Of course, you know, our company personally heavy on technology, engineering, and design and manufacturing. Those are things, you know, my person sitting to my right here, we're fighting for the same talent, and there's not enough, whether it be coming out of entry-level college and those pipelines to experienced pipelines as well. So we continue to try and find new ways to encourage people, level those things up, and also internally put investment into developing our current workforce for those future jobs. And that's really going to be a challenge over the next 5-10 years and beyond. So
kind of echo a little bit about what Honda just said. So at Worthington, we often look for people with manufacturing experience to join our team. However, the current labor market has kind of shifted our mindset a bit. So we are building programs from scratch. We're talking to high schoolers and middle schoolers, really trying to showcase what manufacturing has to offer them before they head off to college. We are now looking at recruiting from other industries. And even focusing more on candidates with those essential abilities, so those great communication skills, a good work ethic, great teamwork, a desire to learn something or a new skill. So we at Worthington are always putting people first. We always have. We'll continue to do that, being part of our community, just like the work that we're doing with Olentangy schools, and also providing learning and development opportunities for our employees, so they can continue to grow, not just have jobs, but build careers for themselves and their families. So that's where our focus has kind of shifted a little bit because of the labor market, right? So providing people opportunities to learn that new skill set.
So with all of the development that we're talking about, the expansion, the cranes, what that's really done is put a lot of pressure on resources for construction, design, and real estate professionals in Central Ohio. But it's a good news, bad news. The good news is that as kids are growing up right now, driving by all these exciting sites, what we do is actually pretty exciting and inspires a lot of people to want to be involved in a construction or design project. So the cranes that are around town are really good. And what we're seeing is an influx of people in the higher education institutions that have an interest in construction. Our primary source of degreed professionals for our core business is civil engineers and construction management programs. And so there's a lot of people who tell stories of when they were in elementary, middle, and high school, their school project their school had an expansion program, and they were fascinated and inspired by that. Or they drove by, the cranes on 315. So that's been really good. But with these large projects, there is a tremendous amount of strain on people that can do both the skilled trades in construction and the professional positions. And so we are also having to be very creative. Our Builders Association, called the Builders Exchange, has been talking in elementary, middle, and high schools for well over a decade during career fairs, talking about careers in construction that are traditional, but also educating people on careers in construction that might not come to mind, like surveyors and robotics and people that do 3D modeling, and trying to show you can be an attorney and work for a construction company. You can be a marketing manager or be a creative person and work for a construction company. So we're also being very creative on where we source candidates from. We get a lot from some of the traditional methods, but we're seeing evolution where people that maybe right out of school maybe go into the trades in a traditional route, and then because they can make money right away, right? And so 18-year-olds can get a job as a plumber, a carpenter, an electrician, and make really good money very quickly. And then with some of the evolution in education, there's a lot more access to 2-year degrees and 4-year degrees that maybe after a while, then they roll into a professional position. And we have several people doing that right now as well, so that they have a kind of a progression of their career throughout their aging.
That's a wide open question. One of the challenges we face in healthcare is just awareness. A lot of students don't think about the other in health, doctor and nurse, right? We have respiratory therapists, imaging resources. We have people who work in other allied professions, pharmacy. But when people think about the careers we have in a hospital, they think about doctor and nurse. We certainly need them as well. But as it sits, I left this afternoon, I looked right before I left to see how many openings we had at the medical center today. I have 3,039 open jobs today. I can appreciate Intel will be here with theirs too, but I've got them this afternoon if anybody wants them. They don't all take 4-year degrees. I mean, some of these things do, and thankfully, a lot of the nurses that we have, more than 80% of them are bachelor's trained, but there are some who are not. There are other programs that you can go through that are 1.5 years, 2 years, some that you can actually take in, half of a year and be working in a healthcare career. We have a true healthcare crisis in the country in staffing. The average age of a nurse in this country is 52 years old. The largest demographic area is over 65. 19% of the nurses are over 65. So we're growing, we're building new buildings, and we have to make sure that all the students know all the opportunities we have, whether that's doctor and nurse or all the others. And that's really the challenge for us, is making sure there's an awareness. I never thought, with my degree in finance, I'd be sitting in HR in a hospital, that's for sure. That's clearly not the direct path. But to address the opportunities inside, we'll write 6,500 offers this year. Half of them will be through internal employees taking new opportunities. The other half are new folks going to be joining the medical center from the outside. So it's a nice balance, but also indicates that people do move around a lot inside of our organization and new challenges. And that's really a focus as well, is maintaining those folks who've already reflected an interest in healthcare and making sure they have that second and third and fourth opportunity inside of the hospital. And that's where we're spending a lot of energy.
Great, thank you.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you could actually become a surge tech fairly quickly. It's I think 1.5 years is the entire curriculum you can take. But you could be in high school right now taking College Credit Plus program classes. You could get a central sterile certification. Coming to Ohio State, we would put you in a surge tech program, and you would be in that and debt-free, because you could take the core of those classes while you're in high school to get the certification. Come work for us in a state-of-the-art facility that's on Ackerman Road, and then be able to go work in our ORs. Surge tech's really interesting. I have 60 openings for surge techs as we sit here today. The largest supplier in Central Ohio of that talent graduates less than 30 of those students a year. I have a 2-year backlog. If I took every single student that they have for the next 2 years, I would finally make my number, and I'm pretty sure I'll have more before that.
So Olentangy Local Schools has a focus on Portrait of a Learner that many of you might be aware of. If not, make sure you check out the website to learn a little bit more. But this Portrait of a Learner guides learning inside and outside of the classroom. And the 4 dispositions that the district applies are purposeful, resilient, curious, and kind. And I don't know how many educators we have here tonight from Olentangy, but I do want to just give a special nod. All of the work that we've been doing with BridgEd and all of these employers and all of the educators and the district administrators here are absolutely phenomenal. And you all here are it's so great to be able to see the excitement about them constantly always wanting to do more for your students. And so when we're thinking about Portrait of a Learner, how are those traits important to today's workforce within your company? And I'm going to look at you, Eric, just to share about some of those things in Elford that you all do, that you work with your employees on.
Great, thank you. So love the concept of the Portrait of a Learner, and for us, the first time I heard it, I was thinking, and this was a while ago, the Portrait of a Builder for Elford, and there are a lot of the qualities within the Portrait of a Learner that really translate well. I think about being purposeful and helping your students define their future, and the way we help our employees define their future. And so early in somebody's tenure at Elford, we sit down and we develop an individual professional development program. And so we talk about, what are your hopes and dreams from a career standpoint? Where are you now? And what's the individualized experiences and individualized training opportunities that we want to expose that person to, so that over a 5, 10, 15, 20-year period, they're making tangible progress towards their stated goals. And it puts responsibility then back on us to help make sure that they're getting those experiences, that they're getting mentorship as needed. We have an in-house mentoring program. We have a lot of in-house and external resources that we use to help somebody along their career progression, and so that that they're meeting the goals that they want to. It's part of our retention program. The other thing that I was thinking about was I used the kind word, and in parentheses it said exploring diverse perspectives, and we talk about construction being the ultimate team sport, because to build a building like this high school, you're looking at over 40 different organizations of businesses and entities that are involved with the real estate, the bond financing, the design, and then all of the different construction is at least 20 or 30 different subcontractors representing hundreds and even thousands of different individuals that are going to have a hand in a significant construction project. And for it to go well, you have to know teamwork. You have to get ideas from diverse populations and diverse people, because most buildings have never been built exactly like that before. There's a lot of things that have prototypes, and you go into labs and you do tests. Well, most buildings are one of a kinds. And yes, there could be similarities, but that building's never been built on that piece of land at that time of year with that group of subcontractors. And so every project is unique. So it requires an enormous amount of problem-solving skills, teamwork, collaboration. And when you talk about resiliency, I can't think of many other industries that require resiliency more than design and construction, because of the uniqueness of every project. And so there isn't an exact roadmap for how that building is going to be built. That team has to develop the roadmap kind of from scratch. And so through collaboration, getting ideas from everybody, you start to develop that roadmap. And as you might imagine, a lot of obstacles come our way in construction, whether or not it's weather, supply chain delays, changes of minds of the occupant, the owner, and so we have to respond to that. We have to have systems in place and people that can think creatively, work through obstacles, and then keep that project on site, or on schedule. And so resiliency, creativity, and teamwork are just tremendous skill sets for people who are going to be successful in the construction industry. And then curious, problem solving. We talked about that. And so, so often, we have systems in place where we're bringing out curiosity of different team members. We have huddle meetings every single week on our projects where we're looking downstream, and we know what we're doing right now, but we're looking around the bend, maybe a couple months. what does this project going to look like when it's, right now it's a little chilly today, right? So a month ago, everyone was out on site. They were in comfortable clothes and everything felt good. Well, when it's 0 degrees, how does that change the project conditions, and how do we prepare for that? And so we have these curiosity meetings where we say, how are we going to build that detail on that drawings, knowing that it might be 0 degrees or it might be dark at 5 o'clock at night. It's a lot easier when it's 80 degrees and light till 9 o'clock and everybody's warm, but things change rapidly, and we have to have game plans for all kinds of things that might be unexpected.
Thanks, Eric. Any other comments from the panel before we move on to the next? I think you summed it up great for everyone. Perfect. All right, so next, this is a two-part question for my panel. What does the current landscape of the job career opportunities look like? And briefly describe the pathways for students to get into some of those high-need roles. Lisa, I'm going to pick on you.
Great. Thank you. So at Worthington, being in manufacturing, we always have a really high need for entry-level production folks. These are roles that have a great and high promotion rate, and the reason that is because a lot of folks, once they get in, they'll learn some skills, they'll gain some knowledge, and then they quickly move on to higher level roles within our facilities, and oftentimes even in our corporate offices. A lot of our leaders, our current leaders, started out as production level employees. We have folks who have started out on the production floor, had an interest in IT. They're now part of our IT department on our help desk and moving through progression in IT. We have several folks who started on production, and they're part of our finance team now because they liked working with numbers and felt a passion for that. So they were able to go to school, get the degrees that they needed, their skill sets and trainings that they needed, and progress into those areas. Again, a lot of our leaders, our operations managers, our transformation managers, and quality managers and associates were once production associates, so they're able to move through quickly and into higher level jobs. We also have a really high need for maintenance technicians. These are highly skilled and well-paying jobs. So I guess the second part, how can students gain access to these roles with Worthington? We have a lot of ways that people can get involved and have access. One of them is a program called the Worthington Workforce Experience. I call it the WWE, which always reminds me of the SmackDown, so I try not to think of that. But it is a pre-apprenticeship program that we work with seniors in schools who have an interest in hands-on work or technical work. We facilitate classroom learnings for these students, some soft skills that they need to know or to learn to be prepared for the workforce, as well as a paid production apprenticeship, I guess I would say. And then we offer full-time roles for those successful students upon graduation. It's a pretty big deal. Parents are involved throughout the whole process and the whole program. We have a signing day for those students who have accepted full-time roles with us. So it's really exciting for those students who become part of the Worthington family. As far as the maintenance needs that we have, we partner with Toll's Technical Center, Columbus State, CTech, and many two-year technical institutions. Gives folks an opportunity to work, earn some money, and get that certificate they need. Our modern manufacturing program is known for upskilling and teaching current employees as well as potential employees all the skills that they're going to need to be successful as an industrial maintenance technician. So lots of ways to get involved there.
Yeah, for Hondo, when we talk about different pathways, as you know, many of the students across this district think about what happens after high school, whether that be maybe going on to 2-year, 4-year, college, or pursuing some sort of degree, or maybe going a non-traditional path as well. We have a lot of different opportunities and pathways. Certainly, going into the production area doesn't require a degree. We will develop those folks, and there's a ton of career and growth opportunities. As Worthington Industries stated, a lot of our manufacturing facilities and those leadership roles, those folks grow up from the floor, and many of them started in those production areas and have become and taken on leadership roles. On the other side of that, in the two-year schools and those types of degrees, we do engineering. We have relationships with Columbus State, various technical schools across the state, and really across the country. We talked about what we call equipment technicians, which is a very kind of skilled labor type position, dealing with robotics, a lot of our equipment, very lucrative and well-paying jobs. We recruit heavily at the two-year schools for those, and then certainly the four-year degrees. And we have positions across the board, not just engineering and technical. We recruit for HR, accounting and finance, IT, you name it, we have needs right now. We have probably consistently over the past 2 years have at least 600 to 800 jobs open a time on our website right now. And the one thing that I will say too, when you think about two-year degree and four-year and going off to that college, we have a very robust and mature co-op and internship program. We probably on an annual basis have about 600 co-ops or interns go through our program across the region and across the US and all our operations. It's paid internships, it can be multiple sessions, and we have a very high rate of turning those folks into a pipeline for our future opportunities and hiring them directly into Honda. And so that's something that we recruit very heavy across the different colleges, both two-year and four-year. So lots of opportunities for students, especially as they kind of think about what their careers are going to be or what they want to get into. And I certainly encourage that because it's a great way, two things. One, for the student to evaluate the company. Is this something I want to do and is it a good fit? On the other side of that, of course, we're evaluating that student as they come through. Is this a good fit and is this somebody who potentially is going to have an opportunity? I would say the co-op and internship is a great route. For nothing more, a student may find out what they do want to do and they also may find out what they don't want to do. And both of those are extremely important learning opportunities. So those are some pathways for Honda, and certainly if you have questions, I can answer those at the end.
Thank you. Yeah, we talked a little bit about that backstage too, about the importance of shadowing and internships to sometimes find out what we don't want to do. So we want to encourage that as well. We're also trying to find out things we're interested in. But here at Olentangy, roughly 90% of our students do go to college. However, approximately 33% do not persist and obtain a four-year degree within 6 years. The state 6-year completion rate is at 66.1%, while Olentangy's is 67%. So panelists, just thinking about this with workforce changing like it is, could you share just some examples of how you're engaging with students while they're in college to help increase that experience and that awareness, as well as then again, just different pathways? And Jeff, can I pick on you? I know JP Morgan Chase does a lot in all these different areas.
So internships are our bread and butter for attracting students from campuses across the country. In Columbus this summer, we had 306 interns from 99 different schools from around, literally from coast to coast, who were here with us in Columbus. It was wonderful to have them in person with us for their 10-week experience in the summer, fully paid. It is them interviewing us for 10 weeks and us interviewing them for 10 weeks. About 8 in 10 of them who are rising seniors receive a full-time offer at the end of their internship experience. They have 3 or 4 weeks to make a decision and go into their senior year, in most cases, with a full-time job awaiting them once they cross the stage with their diploma and launch their careers with us. Beyond that, we actually piloted a high school internship paid with the Metro High School here in Columbus with technology. So it was a small pilot last summer, 10 students, but it's something that was quite successful. The students performed very well in our junior software engineering program, working side by side with coders and developers. We have about 4,700 technologists who work for JP Morgan Chase in Columbus, so it's a very high need area of the company. We also have engagement programs all the way down to the middle school. So we just launched at Orange Middle here in the last month a program we call Breakthrough, which was designed by some of our female software engineers to engage 8th grade girls in STEM opportunities to help 8th grade girls understand what's available to them in the STEM fields, not just software engineering, but across the board, and bringing them on site. We bring about 200 girls each year from multiple school districts on site to hear from our engineers and hear from some of our junior engineers in particular about their journey to the job that they now have with us. So we're reaching back all the way into middle school to speak to students. Beyond campus, for those who haven't completed a 4-year degree, we, as everyone else has mentioned, Columbus State is a great partner to us, but we also work with the tech boot camps in town. We work with other sources of talent. We even have a second chance program for those who have had incarceration on their record, to give them a second chance and to come to work in the community. So we are very creative and think very broadly about where we can find great talent to become part of the JP Morgan Chase family.
Well, we actually teach a lot of people in the healthcare field, so it's interesting. I think Ohio State is actually the largest academic medical center that's contiguously located with the colleges that support it. So, and Christy's shaking her head. She used to work with us, so she knows that one. We have a tremendous number of folks who work with us as a patient care associate who then become nurses. And it's a really well-known path for us to get the students into the hospital and working, provides them with income while they're pursuing their bachelor's in nursing with us. But we also have a lot of nurses who go to other colleges. They're pursuing nursing at a different college, and then they work with us as a student nurse or as an IRP, as we call them, which is an internal resource pool of patient care associates. So we do a tremendous amount in this space. If I'm not mistaken, we've hired, I think, 150 nurses that way this year that have come out of that program. But it's natural, right? Because we have the college nursing is about 100 yards away from the hospital. We hired, I think, this year, out of the imaging program, I think we hired 80% of the graduates out of the imaging program at Ohio State came to work at the medical center because they get an exposure to us throughout their educational experience. So it's one area that we're really strong in, but we should be. We are an academic institution with the academic medical center literally across Lane Avenue. So it is definitely a big pool of talent for us.
The only thing I would add regarding the internship program and given proximity, with Olentangy schools and where our offices are located, we have several that maybe come to us as a full-time intern for a summer. And then prior to heading back to school, often they'll approach us and say, I'm heading back to school. I've got a little flexibility in my schedule. Can I work part-time? And I would say 10, 15 years ago, that was a lot more difficult than it is today with all of the technology and remote opportunities. So a lot of our interns, even when they go back to school, are working a few hours a week so that maybe they needed to earn some additional money, but a lot of them just wanted to stay engaged with the teams and the projects that they were working with over the summer. And through that, we have some great stories of things people have done while they're going to school. They just stay engaged with the company. And so even though they're in school, they might get invited to a holiday party, a tailgate, a company picnic, because they're still being considered employees because they're working part-time. And so we've had a lot of success with that as well.
Oh, there I am. To share the story about the Olentangy grad who is on your team and learned about construction through a summer camp.
Oh, yeah, right. So 2 stories, and we do have some great professionals who are graduates of Olentangy, and one of which is a civil engineer graduate from Ohio State University. She did several internships with us and is just a rock star within our organization and doing some great work with Ohio State and doing some other good stuff. This spring, we did I guess it was summer, we did a engineering camp at the Delaware Career Center up the road, and we were asked to speak to some middle school students. And so myself and this young woman and our marketing person went, and we were talking about, we were getting ready to walk in, and her name's Allie. Allie said, I went to this camp when I was like in 7th grade or 6th grade. So here she got to speak to these students and tell her story of, I went to the same camp that you were at 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, and now here's what I'm doing now. So it's just such a great, the students connected with her so well because they could see what she's doing now, and they saw themselves in her because that's what she was doing when she was that age. We have another Olentangy graduate who, because we're all community-based, family friends of ours, and he heard that we had done construction, or his parents heard, and said, hey, why don't you go talk to Eric about, careers in construction? So we've known them for a long time, and sure enough, he said he was interested in construction, so we invited him out just for a tour of one of the job sites, and then he went off to Cincinnati. And, normally internships would start after freshman year, but he was able to start early. So he ended up doing over 5 or 6 internships with us and accepted a full-time job. He'll graduate this coming May and accepted a full-time job with us. We kind of joked that he was our forever intern because for so many years he kept coming back. And what's funny about him, every time we have like an intern lunch for new interns, he still shows up every single time for the free lunch. But it's been a great program for him because he is graduating well beyond what I would say a new college grad would graduate. I mean, he's been doing the job with us so long that he's already far advanced from a normal new entry grad. And so his salary and his job responsibilities reflect someone with really a couple years experience versus new grad.
Sharing that story. And just a last call for questions. Krista's walking around, but just make sure you get your question if you had one. But this week, the Ohio State University and Ohio State Wexner Medical Center were honored with the 2022 Governor's Inclusive Employer Award. And the award is presented to employers that meet the criteria for having a workplace inclusive of individuals with disabilities. Tom, can you share a little bit more, as well as opportunities in your company for our students and for the parents in the audience today with students with special needs?
Oh, thank you. I was actually concerned that I would have to name out the award.
I wrote it down.
Governor's Inclusive. It's a tough one. But yeah, we were honored to receive the award. There's been a 7-year partnership with Opportunities for Ohioans with Disabilities. There are a lot of facets to it, from manager training on disability awareness to having embedded teams from OOD that actually sit inside of Ohio State to support the transition of workers into the organization, teams that are dedicated to reasonable accommodations. We have a campus-wide transport system that is accessible as well, all of which really do make for a very welcoming work environment. OOD works with us in a number of areas across both the campus and the medical center to locate opportunities. I can't say that there's just one area. It's a broad diversity of people that have joined us with all different backgrounds and disabilities. But it's been a wonderful partnership with them, and we were really, it was unexpected. We didn't know that this award was a thing. And it was a really big honor for us to have it, so really happy to be part of it.
Jeff, can I call on you? Because I know JP Morgan Chase does a lot of opportunities as well.
Yeah, I'm going to brag about an award too that I didn't tell you. I should have. There's a magazine called Careers and the Disabled that named JP Morgan Chase the #1 employer in the country for people with disabilities in February of 2022. We have a dedicated Office of Disability Inclusion that is resourced with a group of professionals, including recruiters, who specialize in recruiting those with disabilities, both physical and mental. Here in Columbus, we also have a dedicated internship program in the summer for students on the autism spectrum. We work with the Nysonger Center at Ohio State. They have a program for all students who face mental challenges to help them stay engaged in their studies and be successful on campus, and they've been a great partner to us to identify great candidates for internships at JP Morgan Chase. We just completed our 5th year of that program, and it continues to grow in a very positive way. We also have dedicated resources to those with physical disabilities to get the tools they need to be successful in their roles, and have a lot of digital tools for those, for the blind and hearing impaired, et cetera, and with mobility issues as well. Our buildings are built around accessibility, and it's a huge focus of the company.
Yeah. All right. I think, Chris, are you going to read the audience questions?
Yes, I am. Am I on? Yep. All right. So we had a lot of questions about internships and high school students and internships, seniors and other. So I know we talked a little bit about that, but does anybody want to add? And the reason I ask is we had so many.
I'll just add to what I've already said about high school internships, and another is we have a partnership, as many employers do, with the Cristo Rey High School downtown, and their model is workplace learning, and the pay that the students receive from us goes toward the tuition that they pay to attend Cristo Rey. But these are academic year, part-time internships. We have 30 students with us right now during this academic year. They spend 5 days a month in the office for a full day, so 40 hours total each month, and the rest of their study is done in the school environment, but they're given real work, and we hope to stay engaged with them on their academic journeys and engage with them when they're off in college and beyond. I mentioned the Metro High School internship we did last summer. We're really looking to expand that, and I hope we can talk to Olentangy about how best to expand that. Again, these are paid part-time or full-time summer, so more to come on that.
I can honestly say that when I started at the medical center 2.5 years ago, if you told me that I was going to be trying to recruit middle schoolers to the medical center, I probably would have chuckled, much like I am now. Because I have a middle schooler, and I can't imagine him deciding at this point. But, one of the things we've had at the medical center, and because of the pandemic, is a very limited ability to do internships or have students into the buildings. But there has been a renewed and very prominent interest in having the policies that we have around the student intern experience has changed. And we just had a meeting last Friday, so I got to call Christy and tell her that in the medical center, we are actually going to change the policy to allow more on-site student experiences, including some of the unpaid student experiences and internships. So we're really excited to be able to do it. I can't say that I've done it exactly like the Have It Chase yet, but it's not the first time I've chased Chase on something great that they're doing. So we're very excited to have organizations like Cristo Rey on site, as well as Olentangy and other students who have an interest. We had a young lady from Hilliard reach out about a week ago, and she wants to be an oncology nurse. Sincerely wants to be an oncology nurse, and is like, how could I get into the building and spend some time with a nurse in this space so that I can decide what part of this I want to specialize in. And we would love to have her. But the first step was getting this policy to be addressed, and I'm really happy to say that we're there.
So it comes on and off. So, okay, so I spoke a little bit about the Worthington workforce experience. That's a great opportunity for high schoolers to get a real look at manufacturing and all the facets of that, of what is involved, right? There's a lot more than just production involved in manufacturing. I'm coming back and forth here, in and out. And then we also offer those college internships at Worthington. So those are paid internships, and just like some of my colleagues here, a lot of those college interns stay with us on a part-time basis even after they go to school, because we offer a lot of opportunities for them to work remotely, and then also in the offices. We have a lot of our full-time employees who stayed with us, and that's the only job they've ever had has been with Worthington Industries, and they've been employed with us for 10 years, 11 years, including their college internships. So lots of great opportunities for young folks to get involved and to see what's going on. We recently did some focus groups and had conversations with our younger employees at Worthington Industries and trying to find out why they chose manufacturing instead of maybe a traditional path, like some people think college is the traditional path. A lot of these young people just have such incredible minds, right? They're so forward thinking. They wanted to start earning money, get their college paid for, right? So we offer tuition reimbursement. So they want to earn money right away. They want their college paid for. They don't want to come out of college, 4 years with $60,000, $70,000 or more in debt. They want to work, get their education paid for, and then continue to build the relationship with the employer that helped support them during college. So those are neat opportunities. I mean, we had a young man that said, I started working right out of high school. I'm 22 years old. I just paid my first mortgage on my house. So he said, I can't imagine having this opportunity, waiting to have this opportunity. We have a young lady who's in engineering, and while she's in school in engineering, she's actually participating and learning the maintenance aspect of maintaining all of our robotic equipment and all of our equipment in the facility. So that's giving her a leg up for engineering. So these aren't necessarily traditional internships, but they are ways for folks to get ahead, right? To get just a leg up on what they want to do and get that real life experience, and then switch halfway through if they decide they don't like it, right? So we have lots of opportunities.
All right. So the next one's about the growth in Central Ohio, and we showed the stats earlier. So the question to the panel is, how do you feel about that growth and those new companies coming in and thinning the pool out even more?
Remember, this is more Oprah, not Jerry, so keep it civil, okay?
I think there was a couple comments made when we answered that question originally that I think there's pros and cons, right? I think all of us compete for similar talent in different spaces, and that's certainly going to pull some of that talent to new competitors in the field. However, I do think there's a positive that this expansion in Ohio, specifically in Columbus, is going to bring new talent and new blood into the region too, and create a lot more opportunities and continue to allow this area to become even more attractive for top talent, different types of jobs out there. So I think it's a little bit of both, sides of the coin a little bit. And we'll see each other at career fairs and different types of things competing for those same people. But again, I think you're going to see a lot of growth that's going to continue to be an extremely positive thing. And I think also the level and capability of the colleges and the different programs in Central Ohio are going to have to grow and expand because we're going to need to develop that talent at a much faster pace. And I think you're going to see more programs about what happens after high school that's maybe not necessarily always college. And I think companies are going to have to adapt to that and do something a little bit different. So I think it'll be a good thing.
Traditionally, contractors and subcontractors are pretty resourceful and creative individuals. And so like we saw in the pandemic, when things shut down and construction was deemed essential, contractors and subcontractors became very creative on how to work through issues. And so regarding the population growth, yes, it creates strain, but what it allows us to do is really incorporate some of the technologies that have been kind of looming in the background, but we haven't been quote unquote forced to use it. And so we've reverted just to traditional means. But as we get forced into, due to labor strain and lack of resources, we're finally starting to incorporate some of the technologies that have been building for a while that we haven't had to utilize. So we're kind of excited about being shoved in a direction, which is where our industry was going to go anyway. So some of the traditional careers in construction that might be some of the stereotypical are now becoming very highly skilled positions, even though they're in the trades. And so the technologies are now being more widely utilized out of necessity, but it's changing what a carpenter looks like, what an electrician looks like, what a traditional skilled trade position looks like, and we're excited about that.
We have about 2 out of 3 working age adults in Central Ohio who currently work. Age 16 to 60, not on assistance. About 66% actually are participating in the workforce. So we have an opportunity there as well to get a lot of people re-engaged, similar conversations about careers that are within reach and opportunities that they can work in. I think that's really going to be a focus too. We'll have a lot of people coming in from outside the region. I'm thankful for that. More people means more healthcare, which means more cranes. But at the same time, we have an opportunity to re-engage that workforce as well. Columbus Works has been here for a number of years. That's been their focus, is getting people who are not in the workforce and technically unemployed back into the workforce. I think there's something there. I had the opportunity to meet with Intel a while back. That was probably a couple months ago. And there was a lot of, anxiety in the room about Intel and their hiring and the trickle-down effect, and they're going to steal all the people, and gosh, who's going to be left for all of us? But I think Intel offers us an interesting opportunity not only to attract talent and put the spotlight on Central Ohio as a great place to live, but also the opportunity for us to rethink what careers are and what success is. If Intel's going to hire 70% of their staff to be advanced manufacturing with a 2-year degree, then this is an opportunity for all of us who have 2-year degree jobs to sort of stand there and go, yeah, me too. I'm always careful. I still do get a check from a 4-year institution every month because that's who I work for. But we can't, and we wouldn't educate everyone, right? There are people who have a different relationship with education, and those folks have a home with us as well. So trying to find ways to engage them using Intel's platform and influence and the opportunity to raise those positions up, I think is something that maybe once in a lifetime for all of us at this point.
And this next one, there's a few of these questions too. So to piggyback on what Tom just said, there's a few questions about, does college matter, and how much does it matter anymore, and how much do companies look and weight college degrees versus experience?
During my career at JP Morgan Chase, that equation has changed dramatically from an expectation of a 4-year degree to a much more broad look at the individuals who are successful in our environment. Many of us are not applying the degree we got in college to the job that we're doing today, as an example. It doesn't mean that it didn't serve us well to get our 4-year degree and the experience and all that went with it. So we are much more open now to hiring based on skills and experience. We have a lot of jobs that don't require a 4-year degree that are open right now. And it's a much higher number today than it would have been if you asked this question 5 years ago. So I think it's a reflection of our recognition that we have great programs inside of JP Morgan Chase, that if we get great talent in that have resiliency and have purpose and are kind, and what's the fourth one that we talked about? Curiosity is a huge one. They can be successful in our environment, and depending on how their career path goes, we also have great training and tuition programs to pay for them to get the certificate degree, associate degree, that may support the need for the skills that they're pursuing within the company without having to leave and go complete a 4-year degree.
I got this question about 2 weeks ago at a different panel, and everyone was really happy to hear that I was going to keep my nurses trained with 4-year degrees. So I got sort of a free pass on that one. But we do have a lot of positions that don't require it. And if you come to Ohio State, big plug for the university, if you work at the university or the medical center, you go to college for free. So you can get a path into us and then pursue your college for free and not end up $80,000 or $90,000 in debt. So, learning is a lifelong thing. We see a lot of people who come in and they'll work for us in a role for a while, establish that they really enjoy healthcare, and then they'll pursue something else in healthcare while they're with us, and we'll pay for it. It doesn't have to be 4 years out of the gate, but if that's still your desire, that's something that's still on the table. And Ohio State certainly has plenty of programs for everyone to go pursue depending on your interest, but it doesn't mean that you have to have that degree to start with us, but it's something you could pursue while you're there.
Alluded to this earlier, right, with some of the comments that I made. So Worthington does not require that you have a college degree to work with us. We have our former senior vice president of operations, his name is Virgil Wendland. He's no longer with us, but he worked with us for 48 years, and he started out as a welder. So we have a lot of our president of our steel business did not have a college degree. He's gone back and gotten his degree, right, but he started out on. So we believe in the College of Worthington Industries too. So we do often promote people from within as wherever possible, right? Now, if you're going to be an engineer, you're probably going to have an engineering degree. But that doesn't mean you can't start with us and then get that degree with us and fulfill that dream while you're working with us.
I was going to say we're very similar. We you see more jobs today based on what's the job and what's the requirement, and it may require, say, a degree, or you may say relevant experience, which can mean a lot of different things. The other thing we're very proud of is probably about 35% of our jobs are filled through our what we call our internal job posting system, which allows people to move. Many of those people may have started on the production floor, have grown up through the organization, are in different leadership or technical leader type roles today. And then we have other jobs, like they alluded to, that a 4-year degree may be required or a 2-year degree may be preferred. But again, relevant experience. So I think you're starting to see that, and especially in the technical schools today or some of the 2-year schools where maybe certificates are available. And we may look at that, and that may be relevant to that specific job, that at least you've had some education in that, but not necessarily a degree. So those are other options out there as people explore what's next for me, how do I continue my education and my career growth. It can be internal to the organization. We do a lot of internal development. But on the same side, it may not necessarily mean having to go earn a degree, but maybe pursuing a certificate in something and getting certified. So,
only somewhat related comment I would add is the association that our company is a part of. I serve on that board, and for the first time that I can remember, the amount of money by the foundation that was set aside for scholarships exceeded the amount that was awarded due to lack of applications and interest. And I've heard several other organizations that kind of through the pandemic where their scholarship applications were down compared to previous years. So maybe we'll see a rebound, but I will share in a somewhat related note, there is a lot of scholarship money available out there. And so there's lots of ways to get that information, but construction in particular, a lot of our entities, associations, and foundations are funding as much scholarship as we can to get people into our industry. So I was just surprised that some of the scholarship money was left over. And so I would encourage you all, if your student has an interest, you can contact us or different associations and look for scholarships. They're dying to send money to people that want to commit their careers to construction.
Principals and counselors here told us that information can be found on school links, right, for scholarship opportunities. So whenever employers send those, your student or you can find it on school links.
All right, the next group of questions was around the whole BridgEd program, and people are asking how are my students going to be affected and impacted through this program? So how are these companies going to get in front of the students through the program? And then secondarily, maybe Christy, you can answer this one. When are we going to add more companies to this? Are there going to be more added?
That's a great question. Yes, our plan is to, our plan is to add more companies. We know that you also only have so much bandwidth. And then as far as the rollout goes for engagement too with our students, Parent Academy was definitely a first step. We needed to get in front of the parents. We wanted to share the awareness. We wanted to share as well as these companies that we are working with that are part of this program. We also have been working with the principals, the counselors, as well as the educators. So we'll be working with the teachers during professional development days, just to share a lot of this continual information about the pathways. We have already started to have some company and student engagement. We even kicked off tonight with a press conference from journalism students from across all 4 high schools. So we're always looking to have those different opportunities to engage with students at different ways to make them aware of these opportunities. We have some different things planned for in-classroom speaking. As Jeff mentioned, even with the middle school, bringing that breakthrough program, OSU Exeter Medical Center is going to be a part of the Get to Know the Medical Field Club. So there's a club at Shanahan Middle School about that as well. So you will continue to see more and more opportunities for students to engage with these 5 employers, whether it be in the classroom or it also be different opportunities for them to go to these locations as well. So we definitely want to show off the organizations, because a lot of times getting in there and being able to see it, being able to talk with different individuals can be helpful as well.
All right, the next one is for probably everybody, but how are your organizations adjusting to the flexibility and the flexible work environments of today?
It depends on your job at JP Morgan Chase. The flexible work arrangement that you are offered, we try to be consistent across job families, but it varies job to job. I'm in 5 days a week, and many of us are. Some are on a 3 days in, 2 days remote schedule. Others are on a 2 days in, 3 days remote schedule. Again, it depends. But we're learning as we go. We're very much a learning organization. We keep data on everything. We understand, for example, the number of security badge swipes that come into our Polaris facility every day. Which days are most employees coming in? How does that impact productivity, et cetera? I know that our leadership team, global leadership team, was very pleased with the productivity level that remained in place during COVID when we were almost 100% remote. There were some jobs like our branch-based jobs and others that continue to come into work each day, even through the worst of COVID. But it's something that we continue to learn about, and I am confident that we'll continue to relook at it over time and make sure it makes the most sense for both our customers and our employees.
I would say we've kind of taken the same approach. I think it's job by job and situation. Obviously, parts of our organization and parts of our business lines in manufacturing are very difficult to be remote. But we do have jobs that are remote. We have a lot of our jobs in certain spaces that are more hybrid, that may be 2 days a week, on site, 3 days at home, or vice versa. And then we do have jobs that, they're in the office 5 days a week. And so we really try and do a good job of balancing that and trying to be as consistent as possible. But also, we continue to learn too, even the jobs that are in there 5 days a week, we still want to be flexible. We still want to provide the right environment for those folks and do everything we can. And so certainly COVID and that whole situation, I think, changed the work environment right before our eyes with very little heads up. And so we've all been adjusting and continuing to learn on what is the new and future work environment going to be, and so I think that's going to continue to be a little bit of a challenge and a little bit of a learning learning curve?
It's a mix at the hospital as well, which you probably wouldn't think of, right? We have obviously the patients are in the hospital, but a lot of the shared services staff, the folks in finance, my entire team works remote. The marketing team sometimes works remote. The strategy people, a good portion of the university does as well now. They work remotely. We do 280,000 telehealth visits. So even doctors are having conversations with patients in a remote manner now, which wasn't something we did before the pandemic. So it really has permeated not only the business model, but also how we staff our own functions. And to some extent, it allows us to expand the pool of talent that we can get to. But we're cautious about it because we still know we need to be in touch with the customers, and we still need to be able to go into the hospital and visit and see the areas that we support and understand those business areas so that we can accurately represent them to the people who may want to work for us. So it's really important that we're there. I'm there 5 days a week. I eat at least 2 of those 10,000 meals a day in the cafeteria, so I do my part. But there are a lot of folks who still do work remotely for us.
I would say most of our employees got into our business because they were excited about construction projects and being a part of a team that's constructing a building. And so we do attract a certain type of person that is less in an office, but more involved in a project. And so because of what we do and how we do it, we have very few positions that transfer remotely. But I would add, I would say flexibility is what's changed just industry-wide. And so where you used to have to drive to a project to be in a meeting, now you can do that a lot of different ways, whether or not it's from instead of driving to another city where that project is, you could do it from your office, or you can do it from home. And so I'd say flexibility has certainly increased a lot. But what we do requires most people to be engaged in person. And I think a lot of the people that come to our type of industry, that's what they're looking for anyway.
All right, and this will be the final one. So this one's around how the program that we're putting together is educating teachers, and then how that will impact curriculum. So I think we talked a little bit about the professional development day. So Christy, do you want to go a little deeper on what we're doing for that day?
Sure. So when we actually first kicked off this program this summer, we met with different educators, principals, counselors from across the district to get a better understanding of the current opportunities that they were looking to engage with companies, and then also to what were those different ways that they were interested in learning more. One thing that we heard from them is we don't know what we don't know, so we need to understand the landscape better, and we need to understand what are those different career pathways and what are those skills. So as students are maybe asking them for advice on careers or things that might be interested to them. So that's really the approach that we're taking with these 5 employers today. We have already had Elford in to meet with teachers and just to share about just some of the things that Eric has even shared today about when you think construction, there's a lot more than just a tool belt. So making sure that people see these different pathways, that they also, if a student is interested in getting into marketing and they might go to a 4-year college to get that marketing degree, but that marketing degree could be used at any of these 5 employers on stage. So we're doing a lot with just that awareness piece. And then as far as curriculum goes, we recently had the curriculum lead at the manufacturing day at Worthington Industries just to hear from some of their employees about the different skill sets that they're looking for their employees. And so how do we make sure that we're infusing that here at Olentangy? And a lot of that, there's a lot of skill sets that actually align to Portrait of a Learner as well. We've heard from Elford around public speaking. So that is something that they do a lot at their organization with. That might not be something that a student who's taking a public speaking course is thinking, how am I going to use this in the future? Well, we all know that there's a lot of applications for that. So we'll continue to have those opportunities for these employers to engage with our educators so that we can continue to help and grow what those different classroom experiences can be as well. All right, so that is what we have, but I'm gonna pass it back over to Dr. Branson.
Thank you. If you could all join me in thanking all of our guests here this evening from Bridge and our community partners. If you did not get your question answered, we will be continually updating the Bridge Olentangy website. That website is on the bottom of the handout you received this evening. Additionally, there is a little QR code there as well as up here on the screen. We would love to get your feedback. It's like 3 or 4 quick questions just to get some information about tonight's panel and any other discussions and feedback you'd like to share. One quick plug, Parent Academy is having some events coming up. Healthy Relationship Series continues in November, and in December we will be at Liberty High School for the Hidden in Plain Sight series and session, and also we'll be kicking off the district's digital wellness series in December. So thank you to Mr. Rafe, again to our panelists, to the BridgEd folks, and thank you to all of you for coming out this evening and sharing your evening with us. So thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening.